right. Well, welcome to my channel. And I am going to hand feed Houdini, my new snake. And I've handled him quite a bit. Pretty easy going. I only do this with certain snakes that I've had. Usually the ones that I've got pretty handleable, ones that get used to being held. Sometimes I don't recommend this. I'm just doing this for the sake of the video, because sometimes they do miss what they're aiming at. And if you're holding on to the food, sometimes that can be your fingers. So if you're afraid of snake bites, I wouldn't recommend doing this. I've done this to a lot of different snakes and try to be as careful as I can be. Doesn't always go well, but most times it works okay. We're going to see how gentle he is, and he'll see if he'll take a rat. These are thawed out frozen little rats that I buy. It's not a live rat. I get my snakes, I would prefer my snakes to eat dead food. That way you can always store food ahead of time. That way you always have food when you need it and the right size that you need for your snake. Plus, I think it keeps them a little calmer than eating live food. So, let's give this a shot and see how this goes. Of course, it helps if he's hungry. You make sure you get that rat and not my fingers, and we will be fine. Ho, 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 ho. And I jumped. I didn't mean to jump, but I did. It's hard not to jump, but I took it right from my fingers. That's so cool. That's so cool. He lays in his water a lot. Which is fine. That just kind of seems to be his thing. You can't hardly not jump. I mean, you just can't. But he did well. He did well. I've had some of my pythons actually miss the rat and get a hold of my hand, and you'd be surprised how much pressure they have in a bite, even if it's not a super large snake. You know, the few times that they have missed, I was impressed, because I thought, man, because I had to take them off my hand, but it's just the initial scare. It's really not that painful unless they break a tooth off, and then you got to pull a tooth out of your finger or something, but it's not that painful. I've been bit by things that hurt a lot more, but and he's a terrific snake. He did that. He couldn't have done that any better. We'll let him go ahead and eat some of that. We'll get back with him. I thought I was going to stay a little steadier than that and let him really get a hold of it, but nerves of rubber. I really like this snake. If I could get my hands on about 2 or 3 more just like this, I really would. And like I said, I named him Houdini. There's reasons for it. He got out coming home from the reptile show, crawling loose in the back seat, and then lost him in the cage in the substrate, and I thought he'd gotten out of the cage, and he hadn't. So I think Houdini is a pretty good name for him. I think I've got everything pretty well sealed up on this now. He's got the little rat pup about half eaten, so he gets that down. I'll give him the other one. That's turning out pretty good. But the rat wasn't alive. It was frozen. And then I let it thaw, let it get to room temperature. If I could find. There we go. After they've eaten a meal, I like to give them, since they are cold-blooded, it takes them 2-3 days at least, depending on the meal. Some meals take a lot longer, bigger meals, bigger snakes. But when I get done feeding him, I'll let him have about 3 days just to digest. And then I'll get him out and handle him some more. He was hungry, no doubt about that. But it's interesting like this. You can watch how they have to feed. His jaw will unhinge, and he'll slowly work his mouth over that little rat. You can see where he's pushing it against the side of his water dish just to help get it down. He really doesn't have any hands to push it in. And like I said, their mouth will come unhinged to a point, and that'll help him swallow that food. The best way to go by is if food is just the right size for your snake, just look at their fattest part of their body on their coils as you're looking at your snake, whatever kind of snake it is. And if whatever you're feeding it is relatively about the same size or smaller, you should be pretty good. I mean, they can eat pretty good sized food. So, but I guess they almost need to. Maybe that's nature's way of taking care of them, since they don't really have any hands or anything like that. So being able to open that mouth a little wide to get food down is probably a big helpful. And he's just about to the end of this. He is really doing well. Okay. And in the water, no less. He really likes the water, and that's fine. If he's comfortable in that water dish, then by all means he can stay in there. I keep the temperature out in my snake room at about 80 degrees. With that being said, it's harder than you think. I don't have a thermostat. I had a gas line, and I have an open heater that I use, and I have thermometers all over the place. And I adjust according to the weather outside, but for the most part I keep it about 80 in here. And that's for reptiles, and I have some tarantulas that I keep out here also. So 80 seems to work out real well. Well, he's down to the back legs now. Gets that back leg in, he'll suck that tail in like spaghetti. Gosh, he's a beautiful snake. I think he's probably the most prettiest snake I've ever had. I know there's a lot of people out there and go, there's no such thing as a pretty snake. Well, if you're a snake lover, a dog lover, you like dogs, and there's pretty dogs, But he really is a lovely snake. Well, he's just about got that whipped. And you know what I just realized? I lost the noise deal on the end of my camera. I just now noticed that. Well, how about that? We'll have to go on the hunt for that in a minute. I hope that didn't affect my sound too much. I thought you'd eat that a little quicker, buddy. I'm going to have to look for my little sound deal now. Well, we'll wait till you're done eating. Doing good, Houdini. Down to the tail. I have no problem reaching in there and grabbing him if I don't have a rat in my hand. He's never struck at me or anything like that. You gotta be a little more careful when you're feeding them like that. Okay, are you about got that down? Yep, you're down to the tail, aren't you, buddy? Okay. Well, I'm going to let you be with your meal and let you digest. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give me 2 thumbs up. Thanks.